beautiful community in Instagram and Facebook. It is with great pleasure that I hold space for you for the next little while to introduce you to my world of the benefits of adopting a woman's yoga practice. So a yoga practice that is essentially designed for us creative, energetic beings to feel more connected with this true essence of who it is that we really are. So for those of you who haven't met me, my name's Nick. I'm from Sundara Yoga, and I support women from all over to reclaim their feminine essence through practices such as women's yoga, yin yoga, gentle hatha movement. I'm also a herbalist and I practice green witchcraft. So I weave and interweave all of my modalities to bring this essence of full empowerment to women to reclaim some of the lost teachings. And so particularly today's foundational introduction to the practices of women's yoga, I really would love you to understand from an energetic perspective how powerful this practice actually is. So we have this saying actually in this movement, which is around feeling this inner connection to what we call Bhavati. And Bhavati is this connection to the heart, the connection to actually the womb, and the connection therefore to this creative energy, this sense of softness, this sense of sensuality. It's the home of where this cosmic light actually lives within us. So through practices such as Kriya, through practices such as Pranayama, and through practices such as gentle movement designed to bring vitality to the cervix, we can actually really feel this Bhavati, this sense of energy rising within us. So the Kriya is actually a combination of beautiful hand gestures and breath regulation practices. So in today's practice we'll be learning a couple of Kriyas. Also the Pranayama practice. So for those of you who practice yoga very regularly, you will be familiar with Pranayama, which is actually the breath regulation practice. However, in women's based yoga practice, we actually are more mindful to work through the different layers of Pranayama practice. So what I mean by that is actually working with retention of the breath, working with conscious inhalation and conscious exhalation. So in this practice today, I'll be guiding you through a couple of Pranayama practices to either raise vitality and raise energy and abundance in the body, or a Pranayama practice to cool and to soften the energy. So remembering we are actually this polarity, we are this being that actually ebbs and flows through peaks in energy and troughs in energy. So this Pranayama practice is really designed to make sure and to support you to really tune into what it is that you need at a particular point in time. The benefits of Pranayama also are such that it really supports us to regulate our nervous system. And I think in today's yoga world, and particularly when we're in such tumultuous change and in times of stress and in times of overabundance where we are actually too far out of ourselves, this Pranayama practice will actually really bring you back to center and bring you back to this creative, sensual longing. And the beautiful movement practices that really support us as women. So the beautiful asana practices are really designed to give this inner feeling of Bhavati when it comes to celebrating all of the things that are abundant about us as women. So the yoga practice wasn't actually designed specifically for curves of a woman's body. And as we know in hatha-based practice, we're actually more concerned with alignment and how alignment with which not to hurt ourselves. But in this essence of this practice, we're actually really about softening in to create shapes and to work with the vitality of softness and flow and celebrating the curves that we actually have as women. So the particular postures are designed to give vitality to the cervix. They're designed to soften and open the heart. They're also designed to activate what I call the yin meridians and to therefore stimulate the yin-based organs. So the liver, kidney, spleen, the pericardium and the heart, as well as the lungs, and opening the front body, gives us this sense of coming home to feeling, often for the first time, what the practice is actually about. So my loves, we're going to be starting the practice and working through for about 15 minutes or so, introducing you to the world of Kriya, moving then through Pranayama, so some breath regulation practices, and then some gentle movement. So all that you need is your breath and your body, and if you have a yoga mat, that's beautiful, but just take a comfortable seat. So whether that is a seat on a chair or a seat on the floor, but just making sure that your spine is nice and straight. Let's just come in and gather together. And if it feels safe and within your practice, joining hands into Namaskar, into the prayer position. And just taking a few mindful breaths. In through the nose and just out through the mouth. So not anything too dynamic with the breath. We're not holding the breath. We're just naturally breathing as we come in to find a relationship with our practice. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth, as I now just start to guide you through the first of our pranayama practices. And the first pranayama practice is called the breath of fire, which is the Bhavati breath practice. So with this Bhavati breath practice, what we're actually doing is that we're raising the vitality in the body. And we're raising, therefore, the energy that may become a little bit stuck and stagnant, particularly as it relates to this creative, sensual, loving pleasure of fertile ideas that sits within the womb. So this is actually designed to shift energy through the body very quickly because it's heating the body. So there are a couple of caveats around this breath regulation practice. So sisters, if you are actually heavy bleeding or if you have had some trauma recently in this area, then I suggest that you just maintain some, say, Ujjayi breath or the raw pranic yogic breath rather than the Bhavati, which is actually a pumping style of breath. So as we come in to guide this practice, I just want you to firstly just think about a dog panting. So a dog panting, similar to that kind of sound. But with the Bhavati breath, what we're actually not going to be doing is inhaling. We're actually going to be extracting the belly out as we exhale out. And as we exhale out, the belly becomes full. So we actually fill this beautiful area of our body with this pumping action. So it looks and feels something like this. And then, if we close the mouth and then try that practice out the nose. Okay, so let's just begin with the practice out the nose. So if you get lost at any stage throughout the rhythm, just come back to find your natural state of awareness with the breath. We'll be conducting Bhavati breath for only 10 rotations and coming back, and we'll continue the 10 rotations. See how we go with 3 rotations. So when we're ready, you can place the hands just in Yoni Mudra, palms facing up, anywhere that's comfortable. I prefer to have the palms facing up because this is a vital practice to lift the energy. So when you're ready, on the next inhale, next big inhale in, hold the breath, breath retention, and exhale out the mouth. And as you exhale out, push the belly forward. So let's continue that, 3 rotations. Next inhale. Next inhale. breath as the belly comes back towards the spine. Exhale everything out. And allow the belly to become full. Next, inhale, another 3 rotations when you're ready. Next inhale. Retain the breath. The navel comes back to the spine. And exhale out the mouth. Everything. So now tune into the awareness on the subtle layers of the body. And how is it that you feel this Bhavati? You feel this sense of lightheadedness, perhaps some more activation through the third eye. It's a beautiful connection to create Vishuddha, the heart, and Sadhisvana. So we actually have this amazing ability to connect with what I call the heart womb river meridian, which runs through the front part of the body. So if you think about the pumping action out the nose, activating this connection to really speaking our words of truth through the heart, so unblocking the throat, and then having this essence of feeling vital through the womb space and the womb area. So let's give you a couple of moments just to transition out of that practice. And now coming into a soothing and a calming pranayama practice, which one of my favourite women's pranayama practices is the golden thread breath. And the golden thread breath can be practiced if you're feeling like you need to come back home to the heart, if you're feeling a little bit out of your body. This is a beautiful practice to regulate the nervous system. So as we have practiced or potentially understand the practice of pranayama in terms of the raw Maharaja pranayama breath, so the inhale is in through the nose, and when we inhale, the belly is beautiful and full. And as we exhale the belly back towards the spine. So simply, let's just come into that rhythm. So inhaling and exhaling equal distances, in and out through the nose. So as you're listening to the rise and fall of the natural rhythm of your breath, I just want you to unclench the jaw and pay attention to where the tongue is in the mouth. Move the shoulders away from the ears. And continue just with the subtleties of the breath. And now I'm just going to change the rhythm of the breath ever so slightly. And just imagine that you actually have a tissue that sits within the lips. And this beautiful tissue sitting within the lips, we're not wanting to blow the tissue out, rather we're just wanting to visualize this softness. And as we're breathing in through the nose, there's a slight pause at the top of the breath to the back of the throat. And as we exhale, I'm just wanting you to ever so slowly and ever so gently exhale as if you're humming out through that tiny little thread hole out of your lips. And when you get to the bottom of the breath, just release everything and then raise the vitality up again through the inhale. And on the exhale, breathe the thread of life. And as you are breathing out that gentle flow of the lips, imagine this beautiful golden thread connecting to the ether, connecting outside of you. So you're taking this breath away and then you're drawing the breath in. So let's, my loves, just sit with that beautiful visualization of the golden thread breath. And let's practice that together for 10 rotations. So when you're ready, breathe in through the nose. Belly is full. And on the exhale, in your own rhythm, out through the mouth, ever so slowly, imagining that beautiful tissue. In your own space and time, inhale. So my breath is different to your breath, so just maintain whatever rhythm comes for you. Inhaling. It's like pause at the top of the breath and the beautiful thread, the golden thread, out through that tiny little hole in the middle of the lips. Rotation. Inhale, pausing at the top, and exhale out through beautiful thread, beautiful tissue paper between the lips. And slowly just turn the mind's eye back to the heart space. Right hand, left hand cupping the right. And just turn the essence to Bhavati. How is it your body is feeling? Any essences that rise forward, just acknowledge those from a place of love, compassion, kindness. And slowly just open the eyes. So hopefully for those of you who joined earlier and conducted the Bhavati breath practice, the Pranayama practice versus the golden thread practice, you understand the nuances and the differences between how that breath practice can make you feel. So now let's lovingly join together in Kriya. So the Kriya practice combines beautiful breath regulation practices, so some of the Pranayama techniques, as well as some beautiful dances of the hands, or what I like to call mudra. As well as sometimes combining some movement. We're going to be combining today simple mudra or dance of the hands with breath regulation. And before I move on to Kriya, actually, I just want to say that there are 9 practices contained within my community in terms of my offerings that are specifically designed for women around breath regulation practice. So for those of you who have practiced Ujjayi breath, Nadishadana, the lunar breath practice, the solar breath practice, the big humming breath practice, the golden thread, Kalabhati, the Royal Maharaj Pranayama. So it's a really important part of this woman's yoga practice. But I digress, and coming back to Kriya. So Kriya, my loves, so what we're actually going to be doing is firstly working with the beautiful Yoni Mudra. And the Yoni Mudra is a symbol of the womb, and it's also a symbol of the heart. So it's this a devotional practice that we actually have to honour the heart and womb river line. So to practice Yoni Mudra is very beautiful and very, very simple. So to practice Yoni Mudra, essentially what we're doing is making a beautiful shape in terms of touching the pointer fingers and the thumbs, and then just inverting the beautiful shape of the yoni and just placing our thumbs into our navel and having our pointer fingers resting even potentially on the top of the yoni, okay, on the top of the pelvic bowl plate. And this is a beautiful practice to really connect through the pranayama and through the hand gestures into feeling softness, this creativity that sits within this womb area. So just sitting here for a couple of moments and connecting to the womb with celebrating the Yoni Mudra. Breathing softly in through the nose, out through the nose. Some gentle rocks in the hips. And in this particular Kriya, what we're actually going to be doing is working with the heart river womb meridian. So let's just place our hands in loving devotion firstly into our chin mudra. So into Lotus Mudra. So Lotus Mudra, you can see the beautiful connection of the thumbs and the little fingers forming a beautiful lotus flower. So the wrists come back to connect back into the heart space. Sometimes I like to just place a little bit of pressure of the thumbs coming back towards the heart so I can kind of feel each of the petals opening. So visualize a beautiful lotus opening from the heart space as you connect with this line, this beautiful river that runs through the front body from the heart into Sadhisvana and into base, into the root. Breathing here. So to complete this heart womb river, the sacred greeting mudra, we're going to be closing the petals of the mudra. And then taking Yoni Mudra and just activating softly through this front line of the body, taking the mudra down to the base and then allowing Lotus Mudra to rise up towards the heart. Closing off, allowing through the breath, exhale back. I'm just taking you through this slowly so you can kind of get the rhythm of the movements into Lotus Mudra, into the heart, closing the petals on the flower, opening the lotus, allowing yourself to come back to the floor as you rise the arms up through and into heart space mudra. So it's this beautiful devotional practice that we come back to find, as I said, this connection to the heart, the womb, and the gentle movements. So let's just begin here. So coming back to find whatever pranayama practice serves you this morning or this evening, wherever it is that you're joining from. Hands into namaskar, into prayer pose, a devotional practice to honour the heart, womb, river, the sacred greeting. So on the next inhale, opening the mudra, Yoni Mudra, back down to Yoni, up through, and back into compressing the hands into Namaste. Down in as we breathe in, and inhale, exhale. Beautiful circular motions. Breathing and connecting. Inhale, exhale. That's it, breath. Usually like to practice 9 rotations. Back to heart space. That's 7 here for 1. Let's practice that again. Inhale, exhale. Exhale, hands back to namaskar, into prayer. Cupping the right hand, left hand supports, bowing head in gratitude. This devotional practice of the heart closed lotus, the Yoni Mudra, the inverted heart and the closed mudra. It's a beautiful rotation of a devotional practice for the heart and the yoni. So they're my loves, are the two kriyas. So working actually with Yoni Mudra and the moving heart sequence. And now let's come into some devotional movement practices that actually support and honour the womb rhythm. So this is very simple. So if we're seated in a cross-legged position or even seated on a chair, essentially what we're doing is we're not going to be, so I don't want you to focus on moving through the upper body. I want you to focus on grounding through the hips and just feeling firstly the vitality that we actually get through just connecting firstly with the base. So let's just rock side to side into the hips and feel that vitality. So it brings this energy to the yoni, this sacred place of sensuality and joy and pleasure, this beautiful fertile place where ideas bloom and where we have this capacity to host life. So why wouldn't we want to look after her, my loves? So feeling that connection to the womb, and quite simply, this womb honouring practice is actually about making some beautiful circles with the cervical area. So moving left to right, right to left, or moving in S shapes, figure eights. However it makes you feel good and connected. So with this practice, this is a little bit playful because we're actually making some movements that can be interpreted as being quite sensual. So feeling as you're breathing. So there's nothing too structured about this practice. I don't want you to think linear. I want you to think grace and movement. And just dropping the ego away. So don't think about how it is that you look. Rather drop into feeling how it is that you feel to be this goddess moving with sensual pleasure. So that, my love, is simply coming back to a womb honouring rhythm. Beautiful. And then a variation to the womb honouring rhythm is that we come into having what I call a lotus feet breathing practice. So this may be a little difficult if you're sitting in a chair, but just uncross the legs. I just need to get some movement through the knees here. And come into butterfly legs. Okay, so we're just connecting now back to, still there Facebook, yes, and Instagram. Connecting back to placing the bases of the feet together and splaying the beautiful knees out like a butterfly. And once again, just making some butterfly rhythms, some flapping of the wings. As my beautiful teacher, Ulma, describes, she actually talks about the C word quite a lot. The C word starts with C and ends with T. So this is the flapping C-U-N-T, which I think is actually a beautiful way to think about us evolving into this space and into this opportunity to feel vital again in this area of the body. So we're actually just sitting into the root and rocking side to side with making the legs, the beautiful butterfly wings, flap and fly. So once again, this is butterfly womb legs. And what we can actually do with this practice, as well as the womb honouring practice, is adopt our pranayama. So adopting more of a calming breath regulation practice. So for example, you wouldn't practice Bhavati breath practice, with this kind of gentle movement and this kind of sensual rocking motion. Rather, you would come in to just practice the rhythm of Ujjayi breath, or even the beautiful golden thread breath is wonderful for this kind of practice. Okay. All right, my loves, and that's as simple as some of the asana practices that can actually really expand and help not only your nervous system, but also allow the hips to get a nice nourishing release. We also practice asana practice combined with yin yoga practice. So most of the asana in my women's yoga practices are actually seated. So there's no dynamic movement, so there's no, say for example, a Surya Namaskar, but we may practice devotional practices around the Chandra Namaskar. So when we're practicing these asanas, we're actually bringing more so vitality and openness to the hips, so there's a lot of deep hip openers, working with elevating the cervix, so there's lots of nourishment that can be gained from using blocks and bolsters and cushions, those kinds of things. And I also work a lot with the shoulders above the head, but in supported restorative practice. So when we're working actually with the shoulders above the head, we're actually working into the lung meridian, and the lung meridian hosts growth. So this is where it's combined with Kriya, combined with Pranayama, and combined with gentle movement. These really rich women's based yoga practices can actually really be very, very nourishing and very fulfilling. So my loves, I am conscious of time. I did actually say that the practice was only going to be 15 minutes, but with all of my practices, I tend to get so involved and so engaged and so passionate about why it is that I show up and what it is that I do. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'd love to welcome you as part of our community. There are certain ways that you're able to access my wisdom and my teachings. First of which is the Nest community. And the Nest community is a beautiful, safe container for women to join from all over the world who have actually joined. She opened her wings and opened her doors on the 23rd of September. Now that is a subscription and membership only community. And membership plans give you access to an abundant library of my teachings. So these are pre-recorded classes that are hosted in a secure off social media platform. So they're in a container that is replayable and downloadable. So there is library of womb yoga practices and feminine yoga practices, but also dynamic vinyasa. There is also hatha-based practices, Yin fusion practices, a full library of my repertoire of yoga teachings. There are pranayama practices, as we've discussed the introduction to those here today. There are beautiful ceremony and ritual practices for those who are interested in connecting with the ancient teachings of the wise ones. So there is also a live gathering as an optional ceremony around the new moon for sisters who join that community to attend. And there's also 20% discount off my one-to-one programs and my e-learning modules, which are my home study programs. So there is so much goodness contained within the Nest community. So there's an introductory offer which is open now for $11.99 per month. None of this crazy lock-in contract. There are membership plans for 3 months, 6 months and 12 months. So obviously if you purchase the 12 months, it's going to be a better deal for you, but it's $11.99 if you're wanting the intro offer. So that's available now, my loves. But the intro offer is not going to last long, so I wanted to lovingly invite you to take a look. And if you have any questions, or if you just want to reach out and say good day, because I can't kind of see if anyone has joined live or if there's any comments there, but I lovingly see you, and thank you so much for allowing me to hold space for you from the beautiful Republic of Panama, coming to you from the volcanic crater of the Valle de Anton, which is where I live, and I'm surrounded by this energy of the sleeping lady, or the wild Indian lady, who mythology and story of this beautiful region says that she basically just oversees. She is the spirit of this land. So it's just beautiful to be able to bring that story to you, from my heart to yours. So lots of love. Thank you so much, Facebook, and thank you so much, Instagram. And wild love to you from across the oceans, the skies and the forests. And if you have any questions, please direct message me on Facebook or Instagram, or you can always email me at nicole@sundaravirtualyoga.com, or visit the website sundara.yoga.com. Lots of love, everyone. Take care.